Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, September 23. Schools will reopen on October 5 as scheduled, but without the usual face-to-face classes due to the fact that the nation is in the community spread phase of COVID-19. The confirmation came from Education Minister Favour Williams during a virtual press briefing yesterday at the office of the Prime Minister. According to Minister Williams, 3 approaches will be taken to facilitate learning by students. They include an online approach where students will remain at home and access virtual classes via the Education Ministry's learning management system. The ministry will also provide lessons via television, cable and radio starting October 5, as well as printed materials to be used with textbooks and worksheets at home. These will be delivered to agreed drop-off points.
We recognize that schools can and will use a combination of these approaches where possible and appropriate and safe.
Minister Williams also addressed the interest of some principals to have limited face-to-face classes, especially in deep rural areas where there is no internet access.
We're going to be guided by the health-related information, the completion of the health inspections in schools, and so over time, depending on how we move through this pandemic, we will know better how to bring students back in the physical environment in a safe way.
Students have been away from the physical classroom for over 6 months. Schools were closed on March 13, 3 days after Jamaica confirmed its first imported case of the coronavirus. Still on education, the Caribbean Examination Council has reported a slight improvement in the results of this year's CSEC and CAPE examinations. At a virtual meeting yesterday, the council says performance for CSEC mathematics improved by 6%, moving to 52% of students receiving grades 1 to 3. In English A, 82% of candidates obtained passes in grades 1 to 3 when compared to 79% in 2019. There is also a slight improvement in students' performance in chemistry, biology, physics, social studies, and integrated science.
We saw an improvement in the overall for grades 2. All the other grades, we saw a reduction in 4K. The 2019-2020 year, in comparison, was a 1.47% reduction in the acceptable grades. For CSEC, however, we saw a 3.81% increase, where we had an overall 368,735 persons across subject areas receiving acceptable grades for 2019 in comparison to 382,783 in 2020. You're seeing on the screen 97,807 in comparison to 84,565 for 2019. And that's a consistent increase for grades 1 and 2, but a slight reduction for grade 3.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness is urging Jamaicans to utilize online platforms to transact business as government takes measures to contain COVID-19. Mr. Holness made the call at a virtual press conference Tuesday, saying the online transactions will limit the need for long lines and face-to-face interactions. The Prime Minister also used the press conference to extend all current containment measures until October 7. They include the 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfews, persons 70 years old and older staying home, the limiting of social gatherings to 15 persons, the ban on funeral services, and the restrictions associated with burials and regular church service. Prime Minister Holness used the press conference to reiterate his call for vigilance in the fight against COVID-19.
The government and our experts have always been consistent and have gone to great lengths to explain to the population that this is a very dangerous disease and that complacency is something that we should never allow to creep in the management of the disease and in our own personal behavior. I do hope that as a society, we are all taking a greater level of compliance and seriousness in our daily behavior as it relates to consistently and faithfully following the established protocols and guidelines.
Mr. Holness also reinforced the fact that government is not considering a lockdown at this time because of its possible devastating impact on the country's economy. He says the appropriate strategy that government is taking is to increase public education to effect a change in public behavior. The Health and Wellness Ministry is adding some 152 hospital beds to increase its capacity to manage possible flow of COVID-19 cases requiring hospital care. This is being done through the setting up of 4 field hospitals, the first of which is being installed at the National Chest Hospital. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the ministry is putting in place additional equipment and staffing for the facility, which has a 40-bed capacity. The first field hospital will be handed over this Thursday.
And shortly after, that facility will be commissioned for use.
Dr. Tufton, who was speaking at the OPM virtual press conference yesterday, said another 40-bed facility will be established at the Mandeville Regional Hospital. The government will receive support and co-financing assistance of 100,000 Canadian dollars from the Government of Canada.
That discussion is in full train, and we hope to have the arrival of that facility in short order.
2 36-bed field hospitals will be built at the St. Joseph's and Falmouth hospitals. These will be financed by the government at a cost of $65 million each. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says once a safe vaccine is available, government will make it freely available to all Jamaicans wishing to obtain it. Mr. Holness, while speaking at a virtual press conference on Tuesday, says Jamaica is part of the World Health Organization COVID-19 Global Access Facility, COVAX. The COVAX facility is designed to ensure equal access to safe and effective vaccines by countries globally.
Jamaica has been very conservative, very cautious in approving and using new medicines, vaccines, tests. We have an ethics committee in the Ministry of Health. Our health professionals, they maintain a very high standard, and they also align their approvals with that of the highest authorities on these matters in the world, WHO and PAHO.
The Prime Minister says the government will not risk the health of the citizens. And finally, a $37.7 million contract has been signed to rehabilitate the flanker to Rock Spring Roadway between St. James and Trelawney. The project is being implemented by the National Works Agency through its Maintenance of Secondary Roadways program. NWA's Community Relations Officer Janelle Ricketts says the 1-kilometer roadway will involve drain improvement as well as road shaping and resurfacing using asphaltic concrete. The project, which is being executed under local contract with S&G Road Resurfacing Materials, is expected to be substantially completed by year's end. Motorists are being advised to obey the posted warning signs and the instructions of flag persons. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.